Can you believe it, Metropolitans? October baseball, and we got 13 more wins to make a championship a possibility. We're going to talk about what it takes for the New York Mets to go all the way on this special edition of Mets Digest. What's going on, Metropolitans? My name is Flobo Boyce. Thank you so much for rocking with me on this beautiful October 1st, 2024. And as I'm recording this, the Mets are just about an hour away of taking the field against the Milwaukee Brewers. But gotta thank you for hanging out with me as we get ramped up for the best time of the year. Myself, alongside Mike D'Angelo, we work tirelessly to get you the best content when it comes to the Mets. So do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're not part of that not subscribe crew. You don't want to do that. Only Philly fans would do something like that. Hit that subscribe button to keep yourself in the know. Metropolitans, I'm not sure how you're feeling, but I'm pretty ecstatic. For those of us who maintain the faith, for those of us who believed the entire time, we're finally getting rewarded with an opportunity to see the New York Mets in the postseason, especially after last year's collapse, being able to say we finished double-digit games over 500 means the world. Now we get to go to Milwaukee or go back to Milwaukee after splitting the series with the Atlanta Braves. And even though I would have loved for us to sweep the Braves to knock them out of the postseason contention, you got to play smart ball here. The roster is tired. Travel is part of it. And you can tell why some people were spelled in that second game. 6th seed, doesn't matter. We just have to go to Milwaukee or back to Milwaukee because as SNY said on the Sunday broadcast, the Mets team had reservations in Atlanta, in Milwaukee, and in San Diego at the same time because they were trying to see what was going to be the result after the game Sunday. So the team is actually going back to the same hotel they were over the weekend. And it's going to be a challenge. We're going to preview that in just a second. But here's a look at that postseason roster. A couple of people we're familiar with there. Eddie Alvarez is not on the roster as well, but we do have some of the classic guys. Even though we have a little bit of a cold spell with both Alonso and JD Martinez, they make the postseason roster, and we switch Young for Young. Danny Young is getting the start or in the call up for the reliever side. And even though we haven't seen much of Max Krennic, the fact that he's there, we've pretty much said it's going to be in situations where things are really, really good or really, really bad. I'm glad Bader made it, and I'm also glad that Tyrone Taylor has made the postseason roster. Of course, teams get to reconstitute their rosters if they so advance, but Tyrone Taylor has really been an unsung hero in a very crowded outfield for the New York Mets this season. Harrison Bader's on a one-year deal. I hope that Tyrone Taylor makes it a decision to sign or is offered a contract for next year. The starting lineup for the game one against the Milwaukee Brewers, basically a test for them, looks like this. I wanted to show you this up front right now because I want to discuss a couple of changes here. So I talked about JD Martinez being ice cold. He doesn't even start in this one with Winker getting the DH call and Starling Marte in right field. So it looks like they're trying to combat the speed of Milwaukee, which is something that really killed us the last time we played them in that 3-game series just last weekend, because we all know Marte has a cannon in right field, and alongside Tyrone Taylor can also be pretty strong when it comes to covering ground as well. So I guess a little bit of an inclination of the strategy they're going to have against the Milwaukee Brewers. They showed us time and time again. They're young and they're fast. They may not score the most runs, but they are pretty much an offensive power team, and so you got to be able to have some countermeasures against that. Unlike this time, or unlike last time, in Milwaukee last weekend, if the Mets lose 2 games straight, all is over. And for those of us who remember the 2022 season, going all the way to the postseason after the trials and tribulation of the regular season, only to crash out the wild card will leave a bitter taste in anyone's mouth. But for some reason, I'm thinking this year is a little bit better than 2022 based on chemistry, may not mainly based on the names of things, but I do think the constructed rosters of like veterans and rookies and people who are breaking out, those are the kind of teams that win championships. But people were asking when it comes to the pitcher side of things, what's going on with Kodai Senga a couple weeks ago right here On Mets Digest, we were saying there's a possibility that Kodai will be ready to go to pitch on the mound. That wasn't the case after experiencing some tricep discomfort a couple weeks ago. We do have an update here. This one comes from Danny Aparicio over at SNY.TV. Senga was initially expected to return during the final week of the regular season. However, after ramping all the way up following the calf strain he suffered at the end of July, Senga felt some triceps tightness after the rehab start he made on September 21st. That triceps issue ended his regular season, but Senga is still attempting to come back. With the right-hander threw 25 pitches during a live bullpen session on Monday. Manager Carlos Mendoza told reporters as far as whether Senga could be an option to pitch in the NLDS should the Mets make it, Mendoza said, "We'll see," adding that it would be a good sign that Senga felt good and that his velocity was up on Monday. Now, I am actually excited about this. I know the knee-jerk reactions to say, bah, humbug, this isn't your year. Let's just shut Senga down and have him ready to go for next season. That's great, even though the year has pretty much been lost for Kodai, the purveyor of the Ghost Fork, having an extra arm, especially in that bullpen where we may be effective in spurts, but not the most creative. Having someone with an actual Ghost Fork could probably confuse some batters in late stages of games if we were to advance to the NLDS or the NLCS. Another person who was not on that roster who may have been close to being ready or maybe not was Jeff McNeil. Jeff McNeil, the incumbent second baseman, is pretty much has had Iglesias filling in his role on the field day to day, was thought to be ready to go for the postseason if the Mets could make it. So what's going on with Jeff right now? Check this out. This comes from CBSSports.com. McNeil has been cleared to ramp up activity soon after an X-ray showed improved healing with his fractured right wrist. Anthony Darcombe of MLB.com reports there is no word yet on McNeil's potential availability for later in the postseason if the Mets keep advancing, but it seems as though the team is at least leaving the door open. McNeil is less than 4 weeks removed from a projected 4 to 6 week timetable. So it's good to have someone on hands on deck. Even though I've had my frustrations with McNeil this season, you can pretty much measure the first half of the season as a downturn until he decides to turn it up into Happy Jeff. Again, this is a marathon. Our magic number as of this recording is 13. 13 wins and we're world champions. You want to have as many hands on deck as you can. And everyone was asking about Brett Baty. He is on the taxi squad for the Wildcard Series, and so barring something catastrophic, you probably won't see him, but he's definitely still in the conversation, in the mix for the New York Mets. So we talked about the Milwaukee Brewers, how they had our way with us all season. We won one game and through 6 attempts, although you can argue that first series, the first weekend of the season, we were a different team and we didn't really have the mental prowess that we have now. That was a Reese Hoskins thing with him boo-hooing in the dugout, and frankly, to me, it was pretty weak, because if you want to boo-hoo somebody, boo-hoo them to their face. Don't walk out to the dugout, be amongst your boys and do that, but that's besides the case. The series this last weekend, this was the new Mets, the post-Grimace Mets, the post-Hawk Tua Mets, but still, we lost the series, so pressure's on. I can understand if you're quite nervous, but everything on paper looks like we're trying to do the best countermeasures we can with going with speed of our own, especially stronger arms for those wheels on the bases with Marte and Tyrone Taylor. I also would suggest that Harrison Bader get some defensive time in this one if need be, even though if his bat is also ice cold. So, Mets fans, we're at the end of the video. Let me know what you think about the team, our prospects. Are we going all the way? Are you popping champagne? Are you saying, no, just don't break my heart again? It's okay. It's a safe space. Let us know in the comments below. I don't know about you, but I'm having a time of my life because postseasons are rare. Ask the White Sox, ask the Diamondbacks. You're not guaranteed a ticket. So the fact you're here means a lot. Let's finish the story. Well, that is for me. Again, my name is Flobo Boyce. You are locked into Mets Digest. And until next time, it's LGM to the bitter end.